Glad to see you back here today. Come on in, fill the seats. We got a lot of interesting topics to talk about. I don't know where Delaney is. She's late. I'm sure she'll show up with the suitable excuse. She was in the Google Docs. I saw her in there looking at the notes, but she's probably having some internet problems or something like that. So, as I said, grab a drink. I'm pulling everything up here, getting ready to go. Video looks good. Nothing. I'm not getting wajiki or anything yet. We got a couple people in the stereo that want to talk about Tucker Carlson. It looks like maybe. If you guys want to do a co-host on the stereo, feel free to send in a request there. Give it a chat. We're gonna be talking about Tucker Carlson today. Why he may or may not be getting spied on by the NSA. And throw in Delaney in here. We're already live. Delaney, welcome to the show.
Sorry for being late, folks.
Terrible. Awful.
I know. Shame on me. My one tardiness. My bad.
When you get on the stereo, just join my stream, and then I can add you as a co-host, and we'll get it going from there. We're going to be talking about transracial Koreans, guys. This is a big topic. I mean, this is really hard-hitting stuff here. We're going to be looking at a guy from the UK who had some surgery done to make himself be a Korean pop star. That's right, not just a Korean person. We're talking about Korean pop stars. We're going to be talking about that phenomenon of Korean pop stars, why they are so popular, and why apparently there's a mental illness tied to that now. And it's so big that it's getting outside the boundaries of the Asian communities, outside the boundaries of Korea. People in UK want to become Korean pop stars. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper and what's going on there exactly. But we're going to be talking about some studies. Information came out recently about the death rates in young adults and what the causes are, why they're actually skyrocketing now in 2020. We got the data from 2020 to look at, so we're going to be looking at some information, data there. You know, we'd love to do science-based podcasts. And let's see. Stereo was making weird noises. I know you guys heard that too. I don't know what that was, but still waiting for Delaney on the stereo. With that being said, let's roll that intro and get right into it. Man, I see the video clips of the intro that I've got there, and I'm longing for the days when my hair was shorter. I might have to go for the chop sometime soon here. I don't know how dedicated I am to the Viking hair thing. I got to try it once. I can't chop it yet. I got to do the Viking hair thing once. And only one way to find out. How are you doing tonight, Delaney? Dinner with the family. That's not very degenerate of you. Well, let's take our first journey across the border. We got, before we do, we got, what's up, Doug Masters? Stalking Horse, Delaney, and of course I've got an audio issue here. Thank you, Stalking Horse. Delaney should be good now. Delaney, give a little test. Say hi to the audience for the first time.
Hello, audience. I'm here. I'm queer. Get used to it.
Sorry, guys. It's just, you know, we got to have at least one little snafu, technical snafu per show. Anthony, thank you for that. Stalking Horse. All right, guys, let's jump into it. We're going to do a couple warm-up stories before we get to the Tucker Carlson story. And actually here to warm us up is regular Paul.
Men, do you possess middling athletic ability on the wrong side of 30 years old? 40? Do you totally pass the physical fitness test for the Marine Corps, but like you totally punch a drill sergeant or a drill instructor because, you know, you can't take orders? Then you too can identify as a gold medal female Olympian. Don't let foibles like a sense of shame or integrity keep your memes as dreams.
He's got another one.
Also, women, just fucking get good. Eat a dick, I guess. Sucks to suck.
Are you referring to the black woman who was upset about not winning the qualifier for the Olympics?
The Olympics.
Because I'm not sure
Probably,
exactly what
yeah.
you're referring to, but I think that's what we're going for with that one. So let me know, drop a clarifying comment in chat or something. But thank you for that, Paul. Glad to see you here, buddy. Flying over to Canada now for our first story of the night from some Canadian health officials in Nova Scotia.
Canada, yeah.
Nova Scotia, the set of one of my favorite shows of all time, Trailer Park Boys. It's from LifeSiteNews.com. A Canadian official admits ban on in-person gatherings is to prevent spread of false information. That's right. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Don't hang out with your friends because you might talk about what's going on in the world. And we don't want you talking because when you talk, then you think. And when you think, that's bad.
Yeah, we have to figure out a technology where we can censor everything you say, regardless of whether or not you're on an internet platform or on a social media site. We have to really figure out that technology because we can't just have these people out there in the wild talking to themselves with other people without any way for us to moderate what they're saying. That's a recipe for disaster. So, from the article here, the information being shared during in-person gatherings itself is listened to, if listened to, creates risk to the public, claimed the stammering Nova Scotia Chief Medical Doctor Robert Strang, necessitating a, quote, need to manage that misinformation campaign by restricting socializing. Oh, man. I mean, we laugh about it, but this is really like some fascist, communist stuff, that we're seeing here now, that you can't even meet in person because you're going to try to overthrow the fascist takeover. The government.
Yeah, you might talk about how fascistic it is to not be able to gather and talk about things. And like I said, if you talk about things, you get ideas. When you get ideas, that's dangerous. So don't think, folks. Don't think.
That's right. You might think the wrong thing. What's up, Dari? Holly, welcome to the chat, guys. Welcome. Let's see. Just the general clown show. But the tier joke, and this is a 43-year-old Kiwi who isn't going to crush it, but the oldest weightlifter in Olympic history. Oh, yeah. Yep. No, he is going to smash, or she, sorry, is going to smash the Olympic.
I like to say it.
They are going to smash the Olympic weightlifting, and of course now women will never have a chance in women weightlifting ever again. Hello, fellow conspiracy theorists, says PJ Fan. Welcome, PJ, to the chat. We're talking about the terribly neurotic thought that the government is trying to use the COVID pandemic to enact controls upon us that they wouldn't normally have the opportunity to do. And we're illustrating that with a story that is fresh out of Nova Scotia, Canada, where their health officials are admitting during a May 31st, 2021 live stream video updating the public on the current COVID-19 restrictions, Premier Ian Rankin and Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Robert Strang, responded to various questions. One telephone caller questioned the necessity for an injunction banning all in-person gatherings. That's right. They currently have an injunction banning all in-person gatherings. The caller said, I'm wondering about the injunction banning public gatherings and whether there really is a need for such a far-reaching one. Strang responded, I think it's still there. Probably referring to the danger, I guess. He says, we still have the bringing large numbers of people together. It can present some risk. We will continue to look at it. But I think the other purpose of the injunction is to, prevent, groups that are deliberately spreading false information that can actually create risk. The information itself if listened to, creates risk to the public as well. And so, that certainly is a need to manage the misinformation campaign as well. Oh, man.
I like how they wrote out the uhs.
Yeah, no, I was quoting that word for word, okay? So you can't say I was editorializing. You can't say anything about that. That was exactly how he said it on the call. Now...
Yeah, it was tripping me out because you're normally not the kind of person that says after every word. And I was like, what is wrong with him? Is he having a seizure or something? And then I was looking at the articles like, oh, they actually wrote out all the uhs.
Yep. No, it was hard to listen to. So I listened to the video. It's easier just to read it to you guys because he says it a lot slower than I do anyway. But anyway, this touches on a few different things. I think the biggest one is a continuation of the idea that they are openly admitting now that you do not have the ability to take care of yourself. You're not intelligent enough to digest information, to know what is good information, what is bad information. We cannot allow you to take the risk of being presented with things that may be false. So we need to take these authoritarian, fascistic actions in order to, for your own good. I mean, that's really what it is. It all comes down to this is for your own good. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Holly's up in Canada. I don't think she's in Nova Scotia, but maybe she can chime in. I don't know if Canadians feel safer with this sort of thing, but would you feel safer, Delaney, knowing that you can't meet your friends because you can't talk about misinformation, and maybe your friends might believe in conspiracy theories that you don't necessarily believe in? Do you feel safer knowing that they cannot spread those in person?
No. No. Well, one, I don't have very many friends, and all the friends I do have don't really care about, spreading misinformation. So most of my friends are pretty clever folk, so they can delineate what might be fake news and what might be real. So I don't have that issue. Mm-hmm. And glad I don't live in Canada or in Nova Scotia predominantly, so I don't have to deal with this kind of bull crap that they're having to deal with.
Speaking of fake news, I have an update here on my claim that they are currently under an injunction. That's false. The injunction was lifted on June 22nd. So fact checking myself there. Now you have the real news.
Right on the fly, right there.
There you go. As we go, and just for reference, Nova Scotia is currently in the second of 5 reopening stages. Oh man.
Wow.
Let's see. Holly says they've broken overall heat records for the past few days. Yeah, I think everywhere except for where I am is currently under heat record. It's been a nice about 76 to 80 here the last few days. So eat it.
What? Yeah, I was going to say, wow, nice. It's been 112 here. So
also no fires. So that's also
no fires yet, but I have a feeling that it's right around the corner, along with this Delta variant getting spread in California and having us locked down again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we got a few we got one comment in stereo from Osis, and then we'll jump to the next story of the day. I'll give you an update on where Joe Biden is. What's Joe Biden up to? I'm sure it's some really important, highly critical things that he's up to.
So apparently men are better than women in every way. It's Miss Nevada is Mr. Nevada for the Miss USA pageant this year.
Oh God!
So you think that they'd have a better chance in Nevada? I thought there'd be lots of hot girls out there since there's so many strippers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess not though. Dudes win the day.
Yeah, that was a story that I was thinking about covering, but I left it out just because I figured somebody would probably bring it up anyway. But yes, Miss Nevada is actually a dude. Further proving that men can do everything better than women. So.
Yeah. How misogynistic.
Yeah, women continue to be erased in weightlifting and in their own beauty pageants. Synergy in the chat says the Dim Fool makes a great point about Dim Fool. I think are you talking about Tim Pool? I don't know who the Dim Fool is otherwise. About news media quoting Biden. He says, nobody quotes Biden. They guess what he meant to say and write that. Yes, exactly. Direct quotes are incomprehensible. Sundowning gibberish. Yes, indeed. Well said, sir. And this is another example of that we're going to jump to right now because we want to keep an eye on Biden. We want to know what he's up to. Leader of the free world.
Yeah.
You want to know what he's doing. So let's see what the latest and greatest from Joe Biden is. Biden visits a Pearl ice cream parlor in La Crosse, Wisconsin. A reporter suggested he ordered a rocky road for infra, and he responded, quote, "It's been a rocky road, but we're going to get it done." The president ordered cookies and cream and strawberry in a double-dipped sugar cone. Very detailed reporting from I believe this guy is from Bloomberg. Yes, he is from Bloomberg News. Thank you, Jordan, with your verified blue check mark on Twitter, giving us the critical, hard-hitting information on Biden.
I mean, this is exactly what I needed to know. I mean, what are his favorite ice cream flavors?
This is the fourth story we've seen of him eating ice cream. Because, you know, we got to really portray Joe Biden as the lovable grandpa. You know, he's just so likable. Look at that. He's just like every other guy. He's getting an ice cream and he's having a great time. He's wearing a bomber jacket with his aviators and he wants to be relatable. They're doing what they can to make him relatable. And that's really the only play that they've got because the dude can't talk. He can't do public appearances outside of getting ice cream without making himself look like an idiot.
Doesn't know proper etiquette when it comes to meeting the Queen of England either, so you gotta make up for it by sending him to the ice cream parlor.
This, to me, this makes up for all of the gaffes we saw at the G7 summit. I mean, I was concerned that we were looking like retards to the global community of leaders, but then I saw that he's smiling while he's getting a Rocky Road cookies and cream and strawberry sugar cone. And so there's your update on where Joe Biden's at. With that said, let's go to a comment in stereo from somebody new.
Gotta love how we know exactly how Joe Biden orders an ice cream cone, yet they didn't give this much detail to peace treaties that Trump was doing in the Middle East. Just gotta love American reporting at its finest.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Love this girl.
Yes, thank you for that.
She gets it.
No, yep, she definitely gets it. I mean, if you're shaking hands with Kim Jong-un on the DMZ line on the border between South Korea and North Korea, a historic delegate, example of democracy and relationships between countries, that does not really get much news. But if you're getting, I mean, come on, let's be honest, cookies and cream and strawberry, that is a combination that has never been seen before. So we need to know. That's kind of a weird combination, honestly.
That is such a weird combination. It sounds like something, a white supremacist would eat. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's no chocolate in there. So, white supremacist? Maybe.
Yep.
Let's go to another new guy in stereo.
Good evening. I was formerly known as Dr. Nabisco. However, I've had to have a disguise recently. I'm in blackface, let's just say that. Tucker Carlson was spied on by the NSA. That doesn't surprise me. You know, if you're white in this country, it is inevitable that you will be targeted to some degree by the Fed or their flying monkeys.
Yes, and I can confirm that this gentleman has a black avatar in stereo, so well done, sir.
Yep.
Appreciate. I mean, you could just say you identify as black. That's what I do, although I am technically 100% European. Not even 99.9, 100%, but I do identify 100. As black. Now, we're going to talk about the transracialism coming up here shortly, but the Tucker Carlson being spied on by the NSA is the major story of the night. So we're going to tease that one out for a little bit here.
Got to keep you guys on the hook just a little bit.
That's right. You can't drop the crescendo right at the beginning. We got an extra comment from Osis and our UK correspondent, Moneypenny.
I remember when Trump got 2 scoops of ice cream, and that was an outrage for a week. So Biden got Rocky Road and cookies and cream or whatever.
That's true.
Where's the outrage? I'm very upset at this information. How dare he get 2 different not only 2 scoops, but 2 different kinds. And I bet he didn't even pay for it. But,
the gall.
Trump talks about nuking North Korea, and that's oh my God. Joe Biden talks about nuking North America, and no one cares. The dichotomy is very interesting.
Yeah, it's American journalism at its finest, folks. This is what we're witnessing.
It's I'm glad it's not like it took any much prediction power, much IQ to understand what was going to happen with the shift in the media coverage. But we knew that everyone was leaning negative for Trump, and now they're leaning positive with Biden. It's just funny to see how it actually turns out, because now we got stories about, like the fourth story of Joe Biden getting ice cream. I don't know how many stories about ice cream you can have about one man, but we'll have to pay attention to his flavor habits. We'll see if he gets cookies and cream and strawberry next time. Moneypenny.
It just sounds like a really bad combination. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it doesn't seem. He did. Give me the red one, and the black and white one. He didn't know what he was getting. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I think his wife picked it out for him.
Probably, yep. All right, Moneypenny.
So, hey guys, British correspondent here.
Hey.
2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Oh, sorry. We beat Germany. We got Germany out of the cup. back to normal stuff. I saw a headline, Trump in jail, with a really cool picture, actually, of Trump in jail. Well, actually, just behind some bars. So my question is, I don't know much about the jail criminal facilities in the United States, but if he did go to jail, would he have a special jail cell, and how would it work? And would he get his last meal, and would it be fast food? If so, KFC or McDonald's? Thank you.
McDonald's for sure.
He'd definitely get McDonald's, and he would not be in regular jail. They'd have like a special cell, just like they have for anybody who is special and that goes to jail.
He'd be in that Martha Stewart jail, you know what I'm saying? Where
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that is the story that they're trying to push in that American news media right now. But honestly, that's probably not going to go anywhere. We've kind of had all these vaguely threatened, Trump's gonna go to jail, his administration's going to jail. Nah, not really. I don't think that's really going to happen. But
yeah,
it's a way for them.
If Hillary Clinton can dodge jail, so can Trump.
It's a way for them to talk about Trump in the media. That's literally all that is. That's all they got.
Yep.
But thank you for the sports update. This is our UK sports correspondent, Moneypenny.
Yeah. I mean, most of us don't care about, football, but, other football. Not American football,
hey. We got some UK audience members here. They're very invested in the football.
Well, I'm talking about Americans, not the Europeans.
Okay.
We all know the Europeans love their football.
Fair enough. Okay. Here's the incognito guy, and then on our next story.
We can talk about Tucker Carlson being targeted by the feds, but we're not going to get anywhere if we don't, address who the feds really are and who they're loyal to. Being that this is a multicultural nation, it's kind of impossible to be loyal to any one group if you work in the government, unless that federal government is bought and paid for by a foreign country. Might I suggest, I'm going to make the assertion that Israel controls the Fed, and that the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA are a bunch of dirty kikes.
Yikes. Well, there goes our
spicy take.
YouTube monetization. But, he's probably not wrong on the racialization aspect of it. Now, I have some questions about the NSA thing that we'll get into once we get to that actual story. Yeah. But, are they actually spying on him? I will reserve my opinion until later. Leave you on a cliffhanger, though.
They're spying on all of us.
Let's jump to Chicago, because we talked about Juneteenth celebrations last week. I want to give you a quick update from how the Pride celebrations are going, because if you didn't know, it's still Pride Month. Thank God for only another day. Is it a day? Yeah. One more day.
Yeah, one more day, and then we're free.
Praise Allah for that.
Which is going into White History Month. Thank God.
Yeah, and that's right. Yes, Jesse Lee Peterson said that's White History Month.
Yeah, JLP. Yeah, JLP started.
I'm
White
on board
History
with that.
Month.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like that. Now, that's a kind of a strange question though. Like, what is white history? Because there's a lot of different cultures under white history. So maybe just make it whatever culture you come from as far as your whiteness. Chicago.
It's also my birthday month, just so y'all know. So send us some super chats for that.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. No, don't dox yourself with your actual birthday, but there you go. You guys can send.
Oh, I'm not. I said it's my birthday. It's my birthday month. So.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. To help everyone get Delaney a birthday present. This is from Chicago. I just want to show you guys a quick video cap of how Pride celebrations are going there.
Oh God.
Yeah, so for those who are listening, we got a vertical video, cell phone video footage of what looks to be about 200 all black people.
Oh shit! In the
streets. Yeah, it's actually guys on girls, like a very large guy who probably could potentially be homosexual, judging by the way that he's attacking her. But anyway, it's a full-on brawl in the middle of the street at nighttime, and the video continues to show a large circle of people gathering around the fights, just observing, watching as if it's a spectator sport. Now we're cutting to a clip of two women catfighting in front of an ambulance, or in this context, I believe they would call it an ambulance. Ambulance. And pepper spray is now being deployed. There's cops in the area. It doesn't seem to be anything too serious, but I just wanted to show you guys that, Pride celebrations are going well. And if in case you didn't know, and now we got a one-on-one. This guy, wow, that guy got like a half a gallon of pepper spray directly in the face, and then somebody comes up behind him and punches him right in the back of the head. 2 people punching him, 3 people. Let's get 4 in there. Here comes the yellow jacket. The 4th person kicks him to the ground. And now we have head stomping. That's right, folks. Head stomping is a critical part of the Pride celebrations. Make sure anytime you are celebrating Pride, you want to make sure your heel connects with the cranium of the person you're celebrating with. And if there's pepper spray involved, it's all the better. So, yeah, I think...
So much love and tolerance at Pride. I love it. I love seeing all the love and the tolerance.
That's the vibe I get
at Pride.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, I may have a career in calling YouTube fights. If this whole streaming thing doesn't work out, I could just... There comes the man in the yellow jacket with an uppercut. Stuff like that. So that's...
man, yeah. That was just like that, very reminiscent of what we saw in Miami during spring break.
As Osis aptly points out in chat, because I did not notice, this was all happening on the Rainbow Crosswalk.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
I noticed that
God.
too.
Oh, man.
And by the way, the 2 chicks that were fighting in front of the ambulance, those were not chicks. Those were like behemoths. So
yes.
You better stay away from that.
Yeah, the ambulance. Get it right. It's ambulance.
The ambulance.
Ambulance.
The ambulance.
Yep.
Okay, my bad.
Oh, man. It's, shocking to see, but I'm sure that all will end in one day when Pride Month is over. I'm sure Chicago will be going back to absolute civility after such time has ended. Okay. Let's do comment stereo.
Apologies for putting you guys in that position. I didn't realize that was jeopardizing your channel there on YouTube. I'll just say it's the dirty orange juice. I think you get it.
Yeah, no, we get it. Yeah, you just as long as you keep it PG, like PG-13, or maybe R, but yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, we just joke about it. We just joke about getting shut down by YouTube, but it's happened a few times. But it's only if you talk about COVID they'll shut you down.
Yeah, no, I want to clarify on that statement. I give 0 F's about being demonetized or what YouTube taking any kind of action. I don't care at all. Anything I say regarding that is just a joke. I literally don't care at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, we got 2 comments here from Smilemore.
How about this? I'm in New York, and my daughter, for the last day of school, her English teacher decided to show the class the latest Pixar movie, Luca, that some people are complaining wasn't gay enough, and some people are praising as being super gay. Personally, I have nothing against gay people. I was raised by a gay godfather. Yeah, but I don't think it's appropriate to be pushing that stuff in school. Why are we showing cartoons in school? Also, my daughter brought to my attention that the teachers in her school all have Disney Plus accounts for school. Like, that's a little weird to me. And also, she informed me that all the children in her school now identify as transgender. It's like they took away all the old labels, jocks, nerds, etc., and replaced it with transgender.
Damn,
yeah, that is...
girl. Like I'm in the Rainbow Brigade supposedly, but I agree with you. We have to draw a line at like teaching our kids about these things. Like we shouldn't be introducing these ideas to children at all, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual. And when you teach these kids at a young age that this is normal, this is acceptable, it's not normal. Like it's not a normal lifestyle, and teaching it to children is not the way to go.
It's shocking to hear that, and I keep telling people that I know in real life about stories of their kids hearing this kind of stuff in schools, and they're always like, no, that's not really happening. It's happening. Mm-hmm. And
no, it is.
Don't send your kids to school, people.
Yeah.
And let's see, she's got another follow-up comment here.
I can tell you one thing, COVID is over. Because in New York City, it was balls to the wall, lady to lady, everybody up in everybody else's face. In Washington Square Park, across Manhattan, I mean, it was just full-on party mode. No masks, maybe one here or there. Some of the masks were, politically driven, things of that nature. But yeah, everybody's out in full mass, no problem. and hospitals aren't overrun. So, hey, if Manhattan, New York can do it, I think this is over. Let's go back to our lives. Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
I
Awesome.
agree 100%.
Thank you for that update
yeah,
from New York.
Yeah, right. We need a New York correspondent because I'm here in California. Jeremy's in Texas, so it'd be nice to get like across the United States, like what's going on, like across all different states, so we can give you guys a nice variety of what's going on.
Yeah, we got now. If she hangs around, we got a New York correspondent, UK correspondent, and a Canadian correspondent. So we got we're building a global news network here at weeklynarrative.com. If you like, not weeklynarrative.com, but actually weeklynarrative.com does exist. That's our locals.com page. You guys, if you're liking the content, hit the like. We got way disproportionate like ratio on the video. We got to really fix that. Okay, come on.
Hit the like button, guys. You got to
right.
do this. Send us some claps on stereo too.
Oh, we got some big news in the chat from one of our close YouTube friends and one of our close philosophical friends here. Bill from All Minus One announced that he had his baby on last Wednesday. Congratulations, Bill.
Yay! Congrats, Bill. Yay! I love hearing that.
Going against
Lucky
the
baby
grain
girl.
by having children and raising them right. He is directly fighting this fascist authoritarian takeover. Well done, sir. Good job.
Yep.
Continue the good work. Happy to hear that. Okay, we got, let's see.
Oh, big baby.
What do you say, 9 pounds or something?
8 pounds, 13 ounces, 21 inches.
Ooh, big boy. All right.
That is big baby, yeah.
A couple comments in stereo, and then we'll jump to our next story, which could be Tucker Carlson.
Okay. Well, it's not surprising that YouTube would demonetize people for challenging the government and challenging its relations with Israel, because YouTube is controlled by one of those dirty orange juice.
Oh,
yes.
so funny.
So I get caught up on that because we all know that's what's going on, but what do we do about it? That's the word. Because I'm like a guy of action. I need to have a plan of action. I need to see a path forward for me to be interested in a topic or an idea. So maybe I don't know what the plan of action would be. We realize that the orange juice runs all the banks, all the media, all that stuff. But what is that? Okay, what's next? That's where I get caught up on that whole thing. Paul.
You don't care about demonetization. However, the azimuth that we are going clearly is in future dystopic America, which is actually even more terrifying and horrifying and Orwellian than current dystopian America. You'll get fines for breaking the rules, stupid conduct, whatever their terms of service are.
That's a good point. Yes, that's true. And now, if that happened and we were in UK, I might get a knock on my door by the riot police because of something like that. That's mean tweets are arrestable offenses in the UK, as far as I'm aware. I've seen they have whole divisions based on like online misinformation and hate, stuff like that. So you are correct, sir. Well said, and that's exactly why I'm going to have my own community in the bush where those people cannot reach us. And if they do, we'll have good notice. Okay, Smile More. By the way, this new chick's name, her name in chat in stereo is Smile More, so that's how I'm going to refer to her from here forth.
Yeah, my daughter said that another student told her when she gets to 7th grade, they're probably going to be teaching her something that's called CRT and critical race theory. I told my daughter if she is in class to raise her hand if that is brought up, either under the guise of CRT or critical race theory. Raise her hand and say, my mother does not allow me to partake in this. And if the teacher says, well, that's too bad, you have to partake, I told her, collect your things, walk out the classroom, go directly to the principal's office and call me. End of story. And I will show up and I will take you out of said school and I will make the biggest ruckus this town has ever seen. And I happen to be Native American. That's my trump card. So
Nice.
I definitely will be like, no, that is not part of my religious background. I'm Native American and we don't believe in these things. End of story. Let's see them fight that one.
Yes. Hand clap for this lady right
Yes,
here. Can I
absolutely.
freaking marry you? Can you be my wife? Come on, man.
It sounds kind of dumb to say, but it is the truth. We need these people that have that immunity, because she has immunity because she's Native American. You have immunity I can't go out there and say that and then not get criticized or be called a white supremacist. But we need the people who agree ideologically, that have that immunity to really stand up and kind of take a stand and really, because, it's like if you had a Superman in World War II that couldn't get hit by any bullets, you would want to put him out there on the front line because they could just go out there and, laser eyes the whole battlefield and then you'd be done. Now, she doesn't have laser eyes, but she does have Native American in her. She has that brown skin. That is essentially the same thing. We need these people to really stand up, and I applaud you for doing that, ma'am. Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sticking up for your child too, because too many parents just will let the teachers teach their kids these things and not step in and defend their children from these ideas that are going to harm them in the long run. So kudos and applause to you, madam, because that's awesome that you take that much of a care of your child's education. Too many people don't.
All right, we got another follow-up here from Pilot.
Well,
on the
when it
orange juice.
comes to the evil orange juice running all the private banks and the media, well, when it comes to the solution, the final solution, there was this guy, this painter that was born in Austria a long time ago. We had a pretty good idea.
Yes. That's hilarious. Well said, sir. Okay, we got 2 more follow-ups here from this woman, and then we'll jump to our next story.
Oh yeah, another fun tidbit from New York City is, I believe it was over this past week or weekend, somebody defaced the George Floyd statue that was dropped in Brooklyn on Juneteenth. They defaced it. I believe they painted blackface on it. I'm not really sure exactly how it was defaced, but the mayor of New York, de Blasio, came out and said that it was a hate crime and they would track down the culprits. Funny, I thought that, defacing statues or tearing them down or whatever was just a form of peaceful protest. So I'm a little confused.
Right, and I was told that we are not supposed to care about property damage either, because property damage is a legitimate form of protest. So that's what we've been told anyway for the past 2 years. But yes, that was actually a story we may have covered last week, but it didn't make the time restriction.
Yeah, and oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. It was funny, but I forgot.
It was defaced with, I looked into it, it was Patriot Front, I believe, an organization called Patriot Front that just spray painted their website on there with like a stencil. I don't know if the actual face was defaced at all, but they put their website on there. Like, it was the Patriot Front organization, which is I looked at their website and everything like that. I don't know. I don't see anything about race or white supremacy, but of course they can infer from the simple fact that they would deface poor old George Floyd's statue, that of course, well, I mean, I can tell just by the spray paint that I can know all their thoughts. I know they think white people are supreme. I know they think white people are genetically superior. I know they want to exterminate all blacks. I know they want to. You can infer a lot just from spray paint. It's really astonishing.
Yep.
The stuff that they can get just from that.
Yeah. Same thing that happened to the Breonna Taylor statue. I mean, it was totally white supremacists that defaced the Breonna Taylor statue in Oakland. It wasn't that it was a piece of crap statue that probably nobody wanted to look at and somebody probably ran down with their car. But we'll just ignore that and just say it was white supremacy.
Yep. And, well, Dari brings up a good point in chat, and this is not out of line from what we've seen recently. Well, not recently, for like the last 2 years straight. Or BLM did it to themselves to stir the pot.
I think so.
Now,
Probably.
I think the website link was a little too specific for that, but maybe they're just trying to, if, they could be targeting that organization in George got into blackface. It was a white statue that got spray painted black. Oh, man. It's the irony.
Woohoo! Why did they make it black if the dude was black? Like, that's just asking for like some kind of racial, something to happen. Like, that's so dumb.
All right, let's go to the next story of the day. You know what? Let's do it. Let's jump right into it. This is the topic of the day. Now, I don't watch Tucker Carlson, but I do watch clips online of Tucker Carlson when, he has some hot stuff that goes viral on Twitter all the time, because anytime I see people calling for the firing or advertisers leaving Tucker Carlson's show, I know something good happened on Tucker Carlson. So that's my signal. Mm-hmm. That's my signal to go and see, what did Tucker say today? So when #CancelTucker is trending, which is about a once-a-week occurrence at this point, then I have to go look. And at this particular time, it's in relation to his allegations that this is wild. If this is true, this is some wild stuff. But I don't. Okay, so Tucker Carlson came out yesterday and said that the NSA was spying on him by reading his email communications. Now, the way that he found out about this is because a whistleblower from the NSA contacted him directly and provided information that was only ever in the emails. So you can never know what was said. You can never know this information unless you read his personal communications via email with these other people. So that's how he knew it was real. So somebody in the NSA, now I got to restate that just in case you missed it. Somebody in the NSA saw what was happening or saw this and contacted Tucker Carlson and said, hey, the NSA is looking at your stuff. So that's where we were as of yesterday. Now, the NSA gave us a response. And before I read the response, I want to make sure that we're clear about exactly what Tucker Carlson is accusing the NSA of doing. And he's specifically accusing the NSA of reading his emails. They are gathering his information, and they have access to his email. With that being said, let's open up and take a look at the NSA's response that just came out regarding these allegations. Because Tucker Carlson does run the biggest show on TV. So when he name drops the NSA, they're going to respond. Okay? And as soon as I can get my screen switched over, we'll take a look at what he said here. Here it is. Please hold. Okay.
Pause.
Too many windows. Too many windows, too little time. There it is. Okay. On June 28th, 2021, Tucker Carlson alleged that the NSA has been, quote, monitoring our electronic communications and is planning to leak in an attempt to take this show off of the air. That's right. So the whistleblower said that they are gathering this information in an attempt to leak the information and get him off the air. This allegation is untrue. Tucker Carlson has never been an intelligence target of the agency. And the NSA has never had any plans to try to take his program off the air.
Huh, okay.
Pay attention to that wording. NSA has a foreign intelligence mission. We target foreign powers to generate insights on foreign activities that could harm the United States, with limited exceptions, e.g. an emergency. NSA may not target a U.S. citizen without court order that explicitly authorizes the targeting. So, do you think, based on this response, the NSA is targeting Tucker Carlson? And follow-up question. Do you think the NSA is gathering Tucker Carlson's communications? Because, and I ask those two questions specifically because those are two entirely separate things. So, Delaney, you think they're specifically targeting Tucker?
I think so, because whenever they say never, if that means that they are, and they're just trying to cover their ass. But that's just my like conspiracy theorist, mindset and where my mind goes with all this.
Yes, you do like conspiracy theories. That is true. Now, I'm taking more of a corporatist, rational approach to this. So you gotta realize that, the PR team at the NSA is gonna twist this to make it sound good, no matter what actually happened. And what probably actually happened is that the NSA gathers information on everybody. Everybody. Mm-hmm. You, me, they're gathering information on everything. If you have an account online on Twitter or whatever it is, if you have a Gmail, they are gathering your information. It's going into one gigantic database, and they have it. Now, whether or not somebody...
Hello, NSA.
Yeah, hello, welcome to the stream. Now, whether or not anybody is actually using that information is a whole different question, and that, I think, is a technicality where the NSA is getting away with saying, I'll put it back up on the screen here, that Tucker Carlson has never been an intelligence target of the agency, and the NSA has never had any plans to try to take the program off the air. Now, here's another alternative explanation. listen to the wording. This has never been the target of the NSA. Okay. Okay, but is there another agency that might use your information because they have him as a target? Because you're going to collaborate, right? You're going to interagency collaboration is a thing. They're going to collaborate with the 17 intelligence agencies, as we're told. With there's only really like 5 major ones. But say, for example, the CIA or the FBI has an interest in Tucker Carlson, and it just so happens that they don't have as much data available on Tucker Carlson that they would like. Well, this statement would still remain true if the FBI was requesting this information, or that's kind of worst case scenario. But again, they have the information. The question is whether or not they're playing off the technicality of, oh well, he's not a target. Okay, well, you have his emails. We know you have his emails, and you probably have all of our emails. Yeah, so that's my take on it. I think they are gathering his information. If anything, if we're to take this statement as truth, it still doesn't eliminate any guilt on their part. It doesn't mean that they're not handing that information off to another intelligence agency. It doesn't mean that they're not gathering it organically anyway, which is still, I think, a violation of the law. But once you're at that high, it doesn't even really matter anymore. The law doesn't really mean anything. Let's be perfectly honest there.
Well, yeah, and what we know about, like, they say that they need a warrant or they need, legal standards to, do all that. It's like, no, there's so many loopholes through all that stuff to spy on us, and these agencies, they work together to do all this stuff anyways. So
now
I don't believe them. I think you're right. It's just a PR stunt to save face.
Now, I want to point out that my explanation of what was happening is completely amoral. I was not assigning any malicious intent to the FBI. I didn't say that the FBI was trying to gather information on him because they want to take him off the air, or that he's, talking conservative talking points effectively, so they're trying to eliminate him. I'm not precipitating a malicious intent out of thin air on this. I'm just giving you rational explanations of how this is still a bad thing, but how this statement could still be true from the NSA, and it's still not. It doesn't absolve them of responsibility. So just keep that in mind when you're listening to other people trying to explain this thing and the story relating to NSA and Tucker Carlson. A lot of people will assume intent. They'll say like, "Oh yeah, the FBI, they want to get him off the air. They want to put him in a gulag, or they want to do whatever. Joe Biden's administration wants to eliminate him, et cetera, et cetera. They want to give out his information to Antifa, so they go riot at his house, which has happened previously. I just keep that in mind. As the objectivist, as the alt-centrist here, we're trying to stay away from that kind of stuff. We're giving you the rational explanation without getting too emotionally attached to it. Now, with that said, let's go to some of the stereo comments, because I know people have got something to say about this one. We got a guy named Pokemon Gucci.
So Coca-Cola, to protect themselves from any future discrimination lawsuits, actually had which is funny, almost a Kung Fu Panda moment, if you know that movie, by in turn discriminating against all of their employees deemed white or white enough to be white. And they had seminars telling everybody to be less white and to be less arrogant and less, arrogant white traits, etc. So, I mean, they're going to be really trip out when the next day all the white employees come in blackface. It's like you told them to be less white. So,
in an ideal world, that would be exactly what happens. Yes, sir. Thank you for that comment. We did actually talk about that Coca-Cola story a couple times here on this stream previously. That was pretty awful. But I think they backtracked on it because they realized it was actually hurting their bottom line. So, yeah. One of the few cases where they backtrack.
It's kind of bad PR to tell people to be less white, especially when most of the people that consume your product are probably white or look white. So it's kind of bad. Looks bad.
Well, Simon says there's a good point in chat. He says the NSA just does the gathering, the deep state does the targeting. Well said, sir. Well said. Let's see here. Bill's got a comment here. The one world government does use the other pseudo nations to conduct their dirty work. So that's another possibility here. Is somebody from a foreign nation? Now, foreign nation.
Is it the orange juice?
I
think it's the orange
Is it the
juice.
orange juice or the Chinese? Because he's going against the Chinese narratives that are trying to. He's talked about fentanyl. He's talked about going against, we talked about the fact that China supplies the fentanyl to the United States, and the fact that they are spreading these terrible ideas in the schools and whatnot. So, does a foreign interest have any interest, or a foreign entity have any interest in Tucker Carlson that they might be looking at? Because they admit it, they're a foreign intelligence agency. So who knows? Let's go to Smile More in the
Why
stereo.
wouldn't people believe that Tucker Carlson is getting spied on along with every other person in the media that goes a counter narrative? I mean, did everyone already forget about Snowden?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We forget about Snowden.
I don't forget about Snowden. So Snowden told us that the NSA is gathering information on everybody. So the point that she's making is a good one, in that if you think that they would just gather information on every Louie on the planet, who doesn't do anything ever aside from collect, welfare checks and go to McDonald's, they're collecting his information. They're definitely collecting Tucker Carlson's information. Now, the black box is, what are they doing with it, and is there any intent behind it? So hopefully we get some answers. And Tucker Carlson, for those who are interested, did try to call the director of the NSA today. Obviously, he didn't answer, but, they're trying to get some answers. And if it was nothing, you would think they would just come out and say, like, well, no, they really couldn't say anything, because if they said anything at all, they'd probably have to admit that they're collecting data on everyone. But I guess that's a whole other... It's not here, they're there. Paul?
The NSA's response is rubbish. This is
Rubbish.
technically third-hand information, but it's Snowden as translated from a friend on Locals, Michael Miles' Locals. Anyway, the NSA captures everything they can domestically and internationally. Unencrypted email, SMS messages, standard phone, cellular info, web traffic, stuff tapped from big tech companies, etc. For legal purposes, they have changed the definition of collected to mean searched for. So they can grab basically anything. Grab it, store it. But that's not considered legally meaningful unless they actually use it. And even then, subject to FISA rules and parallel construction. If you're not using encryption, just assume the NSA has a copy of it. Or big tech. So, same difference.
Hi, NSA. That's why I wave hello to them almost every stream. I'm like, hello. I know you're here. Bye. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for watching.
As a cybersecurity professional, I would go one step further, and I would say that assume even your encrypted apps like Signal are being monitored. There's no real such thing as an encrypted communication method outside of talking to somebody in person in your own house where nobody else is. But even then, you've got possibilities like devices could be listening to you. They have technology now where they can monitor vibrations on a window and extrapolate the sound from inside the room. So even if someone's outside your house, they can't hear you. They can monitor the vibrations with the laser of your windows and get the sound waves from inside the room. So assume that nothing you do ever will ever be encrypted or hidden. That's a safe general rule. Maybe the only thing that isn't unsafe is a written letter. That might be the only thing. So maybe
that's true.
Carrier pigeons, folks. We need to get back to carrier
I was
pigeons.
going to say carrier pigeons, yes.
But the collected versus searched for, that's the exact kind of technicality that I'm talking about, Paul, where they're saying that he's never been a target because they've never searched or they've never had a reason to actually sift through the data that they've already collected on him. So, yeah, and probably what happened here is that an employee at the NSA saw that they were gathering this data on Tucker Carlson, and this is the third option that I'm presenting to you as a possibility in this case. The NSA whistleblower who told Tucker Carlson could just be trying to stir up some stuff, because the fact that they have information on everybody, the fact that let's assume that the NSA has no ill intent and that they're not specifically targeting Tucker as they say. Let's assume that this person could realistically say that, hey, Tucker, they're collecting your information, and I know this because I can see your emails, and here's proof from your email, but it's just in a database, and you wouldn't do anything with it unless you specifically went in and searched for it. Similar to cases where, when you're working in healthcare industry, for example, A lot of people have access to your medical records that technically shouldn't have access to them, but there's a lot of cases in health agencies where, for example, like LeBron James gets an injury, goes to a hospital. Well, guess what happens anytime a celebrity goes to a hospital? A lot of staff who have access to the medical records will look up that celebrity's medical records, and just because, for the novelty of it, and inappropriately access that information. Now, they're not targeting LeBron James. There's no nefarious intent towards LeBron James. It's just the fact that these people have access to data that they don't normally have, and if they decide to use it, they can. So it could just be an inappropriate access on behalf of the whistleblower to generate some news. Now, I say that as somebody who has worked in cybersecurity in healthcare environments, so that's kind of where that take comes from. Let's see. CIA is designed with special windows so laser listening isn't possible. Is that true? That's awesome, Bill. I didn't know that. But see, now you know I'm not BSing you, because they will, obviously, there's a lot of windows in the Pentagon, and you could listen in if you have a laser.
Holly wants to know, she tinfoiled her windows yesterday to keep out the heat. Will that keep the CIA out too?
Actually, I think it would, because it gives you an air gap between the window and the tinfoil, so the tinfoil won't vibrate with the necessary resolution needed to hear what you're saying. Okay, let's go to Osis in stereo.
Here's the thing, because I followed the whole Trump-Obama Spygate thing pretty extensively. Here's what they do. Our agencies will target someone foreign that they know that the target they really want talks to, or they have agreements with Australia and England, and they have their agencies spy on Americans and then they trade information. So they get around the Constitution by having foreign agencies spy on our citizens. And we know they're collecting everything anyway. Snowden already said that. But that's how it works. That's how they got Carter Page, Papadopoulos, all those people.
Oh, yeah.
Our government is totally corrupt.
That's a good point. It also illustrates the globalist aspect of the deep state, too, now, because, they will utilize, hey, Australia, hey, you want to give us some, you know what I mean? So they team up with these other countries to achieve anti-American means.
Hey, MI6, you want to spy on American citizens for us?
Yeah, right.
Instead of you want to buy some dope, it's, hey, you want to spy on some people for us?
The next 007 movie is just 007 goes to like a Trump rally and assassinates like the local Trump leader or something like that.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny.
Oh god. Yeah, I'm infiltrating a highly advanced terrorist organization. That would be peak propaganda right now. They're already admitting that Trump supporters are like the white supremacist terrorists, domestic terrorists. They're already describing Trump supporters as domestic terrorists. So why wouldn't we have James Bond infiltrating the female James Bond, of course, the black female transgender disabled wheelchair James Bond infiltrate the Trump supporting organizations in America? That's the logical outcome of our current socio-political cultural path that we're on. That being said, let's go to Pilot in stereo.
Being that, they're able to compile all this information about every American and every individual, hell, not just in America, but in the Western civilization and in neighboring nations. Being that they have that capability, it would make sense why they fear, what they claim to be the lone wolf so greatly, because someone like the typical lone wolf, or as they describe one, doesn't really leave an online trail, doesn't have an organization, doesn't communicate. And it that does make sense, because there's really no way to stop a lone wolf or hundreds or thousands of lone wolves.
Yes, exactly. That's a good point, and I think he's hinting at something where, I would advocate for that strategy, but not necessarily in as nefarious of a manner, where if you got a bunch of people that just decide to go off grid, well, guess how much collection you can do when it comes to an off-grid community? Well, you can do drone shots, you can do satellite monitoring of their building and their infrastructure, but you can't get their day-to-day communications, really. And, you got to start thinking about that kind of stuff. If you really care about surveillance, as stupid as it sounds, there's really no other possible solutions outside of just moving to another country. And, but again, even if you move to, like, Thailand, you'd have to live in a mud hut to escape the monitoring because, with no internet, you'd still be within reach. Unfortunately. Pokemon.
Newsflash from the automotive sector. Self-driving cars proven to be very unmarketable with those who have criticized Hillary Rodham Clinton online or in public.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, that's a good point. The rise in self-driving cars crashes with people who've criticized the Clintons might see a sharp increase. Which is one of the reasons we don't want to see forced mandatory self-driving cars, which it could be a thing eventually. We got a follow-up here from Paul.
Sorry to burst your bubble about mail being a workaround. New York Post, when is this? August 29, 2020, so in the run-up to the election. Quote, "Confessions of a voter fraud. I was a master at fixing mail-in ballots," unquote. That was the article headline. And in there, he detailed there are methods of getting in the ballots. You steam them slowly, and that can loosen the glue. It can be done recklessly, but it can be done professionally, and you can basically leave no easy-to-tell way the mail was basically opened, and either just read or its contents in this context as mail-in voting fraud completely replaced. You would need to have another method to determine that it was adulterated. So even that's carrier pigeons. That's probably the best one. I trust a bird more than I trust fucking people.
There we go.
People are corruptible. People suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they can shoot down birds, so you got to keep that in mind as well.
Well, at least when it comes down, or because if it doesn't come back, then it got compromised. So that'd be an easy way to know that. I guess now they know about how much farming we're gonna have to do next season or whatever.
Yeah, Osis says mail tampering is illegal. No one would dare do that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. PJ Fan says super talented Hunter Biden will be cast as the new James Bond. That could be, but I think we need to really go for a disabled trans black woman to really make sure we're hitting all the check boxes on that one.
Yeah, screw Ian Fleming and all the books that he wrote. Let's just go off the rails and create our own James Bond universe with the black tranny disabled person infiltrating Trump's rallies.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly correct. And the average person is not going to think about this kind of stuff. They're not going to even know that Tucker Carlson's being spied on by the NSA, as likely as they are as well. They're not going to care. They're just completely disengaged. So I at least got to give props to the people that care, the people who listen to the stream who are interested in this kind of stuff. At least you are engaged enough to understand that. And Bill says in chat, this is why I focus on getting prepared, not being blindsided. Yes, because people will eventually get blindsided. When a big enough story happens, they're going to be caught with their pants down. It's like, oh, what? How did this ever happen? How do we ever get this? Well, it's because you were never paying attention.
How did this happen?
It's because you were never paying attention to everything that was going on as we were going along here. So, okay, we got we got Pokemon's following up here.
Yeah, Hunter Biden is James Bond. His first secret mission is to go rescue all the crack that is being held hostage by these despicable drug dealers. And he has to, make sweet love to the big bag of crack and maybe smoke half of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good plot.
It's terrible.
It wouldn't be a very long plot, though.
As terrible as that sounds, yeah, that would actually qualify as a plot that could get passed on as a real movie in 2021 or potentially 2022. Because I'll tell you, the bar for movies these days is very low, very low. Now,
Osa says 007, the Ukrainian crack whore that loved me.
Oh man. I love it. Now, I want to illustrate the point that I'm trying to make here with this NSA thing before we move on to our next story. Now, this is a story from 2013. 8 years ago. We're going to go back in time here, folks. Put your time traveling hats on. This is from Reuters, of course, a reputable outlet here. From Washington, NSA staff used spy tools on spouses and ex-lovers, says Watchdog. At least a dozen U.S. National Security Agency employees have been caught using secret government surveillance tools to spy on the emails or phone calls of their current or former spouses and lovers in the past decade, according to the intelligence agency's internal watchdog. Now, does that sound anything at all like the anecdote that I gave you about healthcare workers accessing inappropriate health records? This is likely, I think this is the prediction that I'm going to go with on the NSA Tucker Carlson thing. Somebody inappropriately accessed Tucker Carlson's records, came out as a whistleblower. Now, the reason I'm going with that is because we've seen it happen in the past. You've seen it happen here now. Now you're aware that it has happened in the past. It's a common thing, but also I don't want to get into the habit of assuming ill intent with even something as nefarious as the deep state or the NSA, simply because that's it's kind of more of a mental health and adversity, calculated effort on my part to withdraw from the emotional bias that I have towards wanting to go to that. I want to say the NSA is going after Tucker Carlson. I want to say the FBI is, but I'm purposely withholding that gratification of doing so by looking at other rational explanations. And I think this is likely the rational explanation that is happening. So just a little bit more information on this real quick. The practice is known in the intelligence world shorthand as LoveInt and was disclosed by the NSA Office of the Inspector General in response to a request by the Senate Judiciary Committee's top Republican Charles Grassley for a report about the abuses of the NSA's surveillance authority. So you have this tool that's out there. It can gather anything you want, anytime you want, and you can just access the information like a Google search engine. Now, you're not supposed to, but somebody just happens to go in one day and say, Tucker Carlson, and they look at his emails, and then they send him an email or, say, hey, look, we're gathering your information. So in one instance in 2015, a military member of the NSA queried 6 email addresses of a former American girlfriend. On the first day, he obtained access to the data collection system. On the first day. So like, hey, welcome to the job. This is the NSA. And he searches for information on it. What a simp.
He immediately jumps into his girlfriend's info. That's so sad.
What a simp. Terrible.
Yeah, what a simp, man.
He later testified that he, quote, wanted to practice on the system and gained no information as a result of his queries. Yeah.
Right, yeah. He was just practicing. Just practicing. Right.
So that's, it happens a lot. This is, when people have access. The problem really is, if this is the case, then the problem is giving access to this information to, Louis, like this guy who would just reach out and say, hey, look, I got access to their email. So there's multiple angles on this story, and I want to kind of put a roadblock, a speed bump, not a roadblock, but a speed bump in all of your preconceived notions about what's actually happening with this story and give you an alternate explanation that isn't so nefarious. So I know that's not as juicy. It's not going to get me as many views. I can't clickbait that as much, but with experience in the industry, knowing cybersecurity and knowing people and human nature, that is the best explanation that I can come to regarding that. And that is why you come to this channel. Because if you want to just hear somebody else say, oh my God, the NSA is so terrible and this and that, deep state, there's plenty of other channels for that. You guys can find that anywhere else. Now, any final thoughts on that one, Delaney, before we move on?
No, your explanation makes sense. My female, brain always goes to the extreme of, no, they're spying. When it's like, no, I'm pretty sure they weren't. They're not like actively trying to pursue Tucker. It's just they're gathering information on everybody. And like you said, somebody probably just looked into his file and was like, oh, they're going after him. Let's talk to him. Yeah, it'll make sense.
I will say that if they are actually targeting him, or if anyone else, FBI, CIA, whatever, is targeting him or gathering information on Tucker, then that represents one of the greatest abuses of power that the government has potentially maybe ever done in America, where we're going after private citizens for purely political reasons. And
and also he's a member of the press. I mean, he's a part of the media. So
yeah, that's another layer on top.
That's going against, the government is not supposed to do this to the press and to just citizens in general. And here they are. If this is what people are thinking it is, then yes, it is awful.
Yeah.
And they need to be held accountable for it.
If this is what they say it is, this is like some China level stuff where we are attacking our own citizens because they're going against, what the government narrative is. That should be like, I mean, when I say that's the worst thing that's ever happened by the government, that should be something that makes you question whether or not you want to keep living in this country. That's what I'm talking about with the magnitude of the offense that really is. So don't get me wrong. I understand how bad this offense potentially could be. I'm just going with the most rational explanation first, and then we'll adjust accordingly as more information comes out.
Yep. Which, I mean, there's probably not going to be much more information coming out because, again, we've talked about this before. We, the people, we can't handle the actual truth, and I don't think that they will actually give us the truth in this matter. Because if people actually found out that the NSA is spying on private citizens and is gonna use a person's private information against them for political gain, that's really bad and would make probably wake up a lot of people as far as like how deep the deep state is in our government and in our society.
And you got to use the incentives filter. Okay, use the incentives filter on reality. The filters meaning, just an angle or perspective you can take on reality to try to better understand it. Now, what are the incentives involved here? You cannot deny that there is an incentive on Tucker Carlson's part to share a story about how he's being targeted by the NSA. Ooh, he's probably got more had more viewers tonight than he had in a long time because people wanted to hear a follow-up to his claim that the NSA was spying on him. So, as much as I love Tucker, you gotta admit that there is an incentive there for that to happen. So,
yeah, it'll generate revenue, get people to view his stuff. Like, I mean, I totally get why he's doing it, but I mean, he also could be doing it to show the people that might be spying on him, like, I will not be messed with. So he's putting up that front of better not mess, bro, because I come prepared.
That's right. Okay, now I think I'm glad we extended the conversation on that topic because I think we've covered there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of things on that people are just going to skim over because, oh my God, Deep State NSA bad. And I think we got everything covered, all the angles that I wanted to talk about on that one. So, well said. Let's go to Osis and Mike, or Osis and Paul.
This story and the other one, I'll tie it in later. But we're living in South Park now. The reverse cowgirl episode of South Park where the TSA agent is sitting in his circular desk where he can just go around 360 degrees. He's got a giant bottle of lotion. He's watching everybody and jerking off. That's what we're dealing with right now. We're living in South Park hell, and Saddam Hussein is not getting ass raped, and I'm disappointed in him. The whole thing. I want this to be a simulation because this stuff's not supposed to be real.
Well, the good news is that it very likely could be a simulation, and the fact that we are aware of it means that we're not beating it per se, but we are at a higher level than the quote unquote NPCs that generally populate the rest of the simulation. Paul.
I do appreciate the distinction about the NSA, but let's be honest, they're still rubbish, garbage.
Yes.
Little known in Dwight Eisenhower's farewell address. Everyone remembers the military-industrial complex. A few paragraphs later, he talks about how the solitary inventor, tinkerer in his shop, is overshadowed by massive laboratories and government-funded contracts, and literally references a scientific technological elite, that the prospect of domination of the nation's scholars by federal employment, project allegations, and the power of money is ever present and is gravely to be regarded. So he laid out every ill that besets modern day America in what would that have been? 61, I think. 60, I'll call it that. It's crazy. He told us everything, how it was going to go downhill.
Write the name of that guy in the chat and the book you're talking about or whatever it was, because I was trying to load up the notes for the next story here and I didn't catch it, but I do want to hear about that. That sounds interesting. Let's see. People pushing the Green New Deal should turn on their AC privileges immediately, says Doug Masters. They're wasting precious energy and resources, causing the climate crisis to accelerate. Yeah, no, actually, that's a good point. We don't have any climate stuff today to talk about, but it would have been appropriate because a lot of regions across America are experiencing rolling blackouts now as air conditioners are running on full speed now. Don't want to rub it in your guys' faces or anything, but I've been in a comfortable high 70s the last few days here in Texas. But hey, sometimes I made the right decision. Let's just say that, to move. No fires either. Also, I was trying to get some car repairs done, and every car place is inundated with AC repairs right now. So, yeah, it's a booming business for some, and power outages for the rest. My power actually went out today for about 30 seconds, I think, or something like that. It was terrible. Okay, we got a new comment here from Butterflies, and then we'll go to the next story of the day.
Nah, ain't no damn simulation. Tucker Carlson sucks. Damn conspiracy theories. You guys swear it's a simulation. Stop it, just stop it. Hi guys, how you doing?
Okay, there's our low IQ correspondent of the night.
Yep.
With the
Gotta have
drive-by.
at least one.
I mean, the 80...
with the drive-by... the drive-by yellings of us being crazy, but you don't make no damn sense. So have fun with that lady.
The best part is she's trained, she's conditioned to just say the word conspiracy theory, and she just said it as if it meant anything, even though nobody here is talking about conspiracy theories at all. She's like, oh, Tucker Carlson bad, Republicans bad, conspiracy theory, science denier, racist.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson sucks, but Trevor Noah and Don Lemon are so much better. Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
Wonder why.
Don Lemon is the pinnacle of truth and facts in a otherwise chaotic world. Okay, don't ever attack Don Lemon. All right, Holly.
We had some announcements on the news today in regards to rolling brownouts in Calgary.
Nice.
Yeah, the overloading of the electrical systems in the city since we've been having this insane heat wave up here. So they've asked people to not charge their devices, not run their dishwashers, and unplug their electric cars. So we went for a drive in our gas Dodge 1500 with the AC cranked, Alberta style.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Show how much of a winner you are, Holly.
With your inferior gasoline technology, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for that Canadian update from our Canadian correspondent, Holly. Okay, the comments are just piling in on stereo, so we're going to get through a couple of those.
You can always immediately distinguish the quality of these drive-by comments and posters because there's usually some bizarre background noise. I don't know if you can hear that. It's I have no idea what it is, but it's probably really obnoxious.
Yes.
I love you, Paul.
Definitely. It exemplifies high-quality comments when you're in a wind tunnel as you submit your comment.
That lady right there that just commented, she's known on this app as Wednesday Addams, or as I call her, the border jumper.
Well, our next story is actually directly related to the border, and you won't know exactly why. Right off the bat, but we'll get to it. Trust me, this is a multi-chain story that I'm about to tell you. This is a story from, let me find it here. Let me find it. Bloomberg.com, and this is about young Americans dying in heightened numbers. Yeah, we got the 2020 numbers in, folks, and they aren't looking good. Now, we talked several times in the past about how young people are dying more from things like suicide, things like drug overdoses, depression, stuff like that. But we got some actual numbers that I wanted to share with you, and then we're gonna look at the real causes of, where this is coming from. Now, let me stall out for a second as I try to open this in an incognito window because I've exceeded my free limit on Bloomberg.com, and I have to get the story for you guys. There's only one way to do it, so. Okay. From Bloomberg.com. Young Americans aren't just dying, they're, and not just from COVID, are dying. Sorry, young Americans are dying, and not just from COVID. I do appreciate the COVID propaganda in the title with that, by the way. I got to point that out. They says young Americans are dying, and not just from COVID, as if that was ever any significant contributor to the actual young people death rates. I think we all know that it wasn't. Let me get this. Okay, still not the right window. Please hold. Technical difficulties. It's my incognito window, so I don't know. There we go. Last year's mortality rate for those aged 25 to 34 wasn't any better than in 1953, as more deaths were driven by guns and drugs. Oh, guns, also an interesting factor here, because we've shown you a lot of videos of violence relating to guns here on the Weekly Narrative Podcast, and I can say that it definitely leans towards one cultural, let's go with cultural group, withholding the word race on that, because it really is a cultural group, and I think that's an important distinction that we got to make here. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. Don't act like you don't.
Yep.
Now, CDC data show that motor accidents and homicides were the chief drivers of increased mortality among young adults in the 1960s, and HIV/AIDS in the 80s and early 90s. Here is the breakdown from 1999 through 2019. Deaths per 100,000 population, age 25 to 34 by underlying causes. Drug overdoses have been the main problem, with the CDC attributing most of the increase in overdose deaths since 2013 to fentanyl and related synthetic opioids. Oh, all right. Do you see now how this story is related to the border? But just beyond opioid overdoses, suicide rates also rose from the mid-2000s to the mid-2010s. It may be relevant that Americans under 40 saw their share of U.S. household wealth fall to a record low of 4.3% in 2009, and that the current 5.9% is still lower than any time before 2008. Young adults would appear to have been victimized by the tough economic times on the one hand and toxic new drugs on the other. Interesting. Okay, and then they go in to talk about COVID deaths and how there were 2,600 COVID deaths among that age group, 25 to 34, which is a very small number when you're considering a year time span. Basically kind of refuting the point that they made in their title of the article, which again is pure propaganda. But even before the pandemic, young adults in the U.S. faced much higher mortality rates than their peers in most other wealthy countries. And on the screen now, for those of you on the youtube.com/weekly narrative version of this stream and not the stereo stream, you can see a chart where the U.S. is at the very bottom of all countries between Canada, UK, and France in deaths per 100,000 people aged 25 through 29. Young adults are doing better in basically every other country. Notably, Japan is the best. America is the worst at around 117. Coming up second is Canada. And, UK and France are doing much better. They're doing actually over 50% better than we are. So, again, we talk about this almost every week, but I think we're distracting ourselves every time we don't look at big pharma and the opioids and the stuff that are coming in from where? Where is the opioids coming from, Delaney?
Mexico.
Well,
and China.
Mexico, that's right.
China through Mexico.
Mexico, exactly correct. It's as if you read the article that I'm about to read on that. So now we know why young Americans are experiencing death rates that we have not seen since the 1950s. And let me actually pull up this chart again for those who maybe didn't see it. Now, this is a chart where it goes down to very low levels in the early 2000s and late 1990s, but it starts to spike back up as we get into the mid-2010s, as the article mentioned, back to levels that we had not been to since the 1950s. So our death rates are the worst that they've been in 70 years, and it's largely due to the drugs that we're seeing come in from China through Mexico. But not only, now think about all the bad guys in this story. China, Mexico, and Big Pharma. Because there's only one way that these people get hooked on these drugs to begin with. It's because they're overprescribed opioids for, they get a headache and then they say, here, take this, 8,000 milligrams of OxyContin for your headache or whatever it is. And then, of course, they get hooked on the drugs and they look for stronger stuff to sustain their addiction. Big Pharma, Mexico, and China. Name 3 things that we never say anything bad about in the news. Mexico, Big Pharma, and China. How about that? What a coincidence. Fascinating coincidence, or is it a coincidence? I don't know. Let's take a look at NBC News. Just has a brand new article. Just came out literally like an hour ago because I bring you the cutting edge news, okay? Not some weak news from like yesterday or something. That's old. I'll give you news from an hour ago. Fentanyl seizures at the U.S. southern border rise dramatically. How about that? Now give me one moment as I switch my window back to the main one, my non-cheater incognito window. Oh, that's not it. There we go. From NBCNews.com, El Paso, Texas, federal agents in this section of the southern border say they've seen a staggering 4,000% increase in fentanyl seizures over the last 3 years. Those busts
That's
are
a lot of drugs.
That is a lot of drugs. And you know what's great about fentanyl is that it's super efficient. So if you can only get like a pound in, that's worth a lot of money because that goes a long way. And we'll look at exactly how far a pound will go in just a second. Those busts are not at ports of entry where most smuggled drugs are typically found. The Border Patrol says the rising amount of fentanyl is being found in the desert, transported by increasingly brazen smugglers who are exploiting stretched federal resources. In 2018, the Border Patrol in El Paso sector found just 1 pound of fentanyl outside ports of entry. So, 2018, 1 pound outside ports of entry in the El Paso sector. Okay, so they're kind of saying that most of the fentanyl was coming in through the ports of entry. But then, for comparison, in 2019, they had 2 pounds. And in 2020, 9 pounds. Now,
Whoa.
You think that's a big increase? That's a 10-fold increase in 2 years?
Yeah.
Guess how much they found
it
in
is.
2021. During the 2021 fiscal year, the agents have found 41 pounds so far. A dramatic rise that experts attribute to the increasing role in drug cartels producing the illicit drug themselves with raw materials from China. The sharp rise from 2018 to 2020 suggests that the coronavirus pandemic did not artificially inflate the 2021 numbers. According to the DEA, 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal, depending on a person's body size, means that 1 kilogram, or 2.2 pounds, is enough to kill 500,000 people.
Wow.
Now, they've found 41 pounds so far in the 2021 fiscal year. So do some quick math on that. Let's say that's roughly 20 kilos. 20 times 500,000 is 10 million. So they've smuggled enough fentanyl in to kill 10 million people. Did I get my math right on that, folks? Do a little fact check on me for that.
I think so. I'm not very good at math, so.
Thanks, Dave, for stopping by, as always. Yeah, so just consider that. In any other case where somebody's smuggling in the potential to kill 10 million, which let's compare that to weapons. Let's compare that to like a tactical nuke that's dropped on Manhattan. That's roughly if it kills all 10 million people that it's capable of doing. If it performs to its maximum capacity. Speaking of this fentanyl that comes in, it would kill the equivalent of a nuclear attack on our country. But yet, can't talk about China, can't talk about Big Pharma, can't talk about closing the borders of Mexico, because that's racist. Of course.
Yeah, and the idea of even building a wall to protect us from these drugs getting smuggled in, that's super racist and like out of this world to even consider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a side note, also meth seizures away from ports of entry are also up 85% this year. So The border angle on this story is that they are avoiding ports of entry now, and they are going into the open desert where there is no wall, there's no patrols, there's no obstacles really for them to come across. They can just, if they can get there.
Only obstacles is nature, and you have to cross the desert. So have fun.
That's right. Yeah. So you got to realize that there is an incentive for these people to manufacture 41 pounds of meth from raw materials from China to take the risk to come into America, because we're not doing really much of anything at all to disincentivize that. And I think this is one of the reasons why Governor Abbott has actually called for help. He's asking for help from other governors to supply resources to help the border, and he's also talking about potentially building the border himself as a state and not relying on the federal government to build the border wall, because obviously something needs to happen here. This is getting catastrophic. 41 pounds just this year of fentanyl, the most lethal drug that we've pretty much ever known in history. I don't think can anyone name a more lethal drug than fentanyl?
No, I mean, all I've been hearing about people dying from, and it has been fentanyl and heroin. So, what's even more sad is I've seen, I follow a lot of on the ground reporters who actually go to the border and actually go into the desert, and they go onto the trails that the coyotes use to smuggle in these drugs and smuggle in these people, and they'll find little remnants of food and water that people not the coyotes, not the cartels, people on this side of the border will leave for them, like breadcrumbs. They'll leave them food and water. And that's the incentive as well, because they know that they're going to be bleeding heart people out there that think oh, I'm helping an illegal get here and have a better life, when it's no, you're giving them breadcrumbs to bring drugs and people who are part of human trafficking rings into this country. So you are part of the American citizens are part of the problem as well.
Yes, and of course.
Well, and they're the ones consuming the drugs as well. I mean, the people consuming the drugs and giving these people a market is a part of the problem.
Well, that's a good point. Where is this market coming from? Again, you have to look at the incentives. Why are so many people interested in consuming fentanyl? Just ask yourself that as an objective observer. Okay, alien comes down from outer space. You've never seen America or the world before. You come down into America. You see that they're smuggling 41 pounds of fentanyl into America, and you have to ask yourself, why is there such a demand for fentanyl? Well, the cause and effect chain that leads to, if you follow it far enough, goes right back to Big Pharma, which is exactly why nobody wants to talk about it. Because there's no way to spin that where, oh yeah, no, people are just getting organically getting addicted to opioids. We don't know why, despite the fact that big pharmaceutical companies are making insane amounts of profit selling OxyContin, synthetic opiates and whatnot, opioids, whichever one. You know what I'm saying?
Man, the thing.
Cue all of the comments in chat about George Floyd dying from fentanyl. Yes, of course. By the way, the article said that 0.2 nanograms. Is it nanograms? Where is it here?
I think it said 2.2 or something like that.
2.2. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal.
2 milligrams.
Okay, so I don't know what that translates into blood, but I think George Floyd had 11 nanograms per deciliter of fentanyl in his system, which was 3 times the lethal limit. So I don't know how the milligrams to blood, but the point remains, yes, it's enough to kill a large black man, so it's enough to kill the average person.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
And apparently, I mean, this is this thing that I've been seeing online lately about the whole George Floyd thing, is that, he's been a seasoned user. So he didn't die of a drug overdose because he's a seasoned user. That wouldn't have killed him. It's okay,
the best argument that you could make in that case, but okay.
Right?
That's how desperate they are at that point,
Mm-hmm.
True desperation. Okay, we got a comment from Holly, Pilot, and Anthony.
Oh, and sorry again for commenting too many times, but we are going to be fully open in Alberta in 2 days, Canada Day, and super excited. Our illustrious medical doctor lady leader has come on the news and was very proud of us for our vaccinations and our cases, and everything's dropping. and it's time to open and celebrate beating COVID. However, our mayors have decided that it's just too soon and too scary, and we need to make sure that everyone feels safe before we fully open. So Jeremy, Delaney, wish me luck, and think of me on Canada Day.
Hell yeah.
Glad you're not in Nova Scotia. Good luck with that. We'll see.
Right.
Hopefully they don't turn back on that. But yeah, then it comes down to the local governments and how they handle it, and that should be an eye opener for people, because they see, oh wait, my town is completely closed because our mayor is scared out of his wits. The town next door that I could move to freely is completely open. Yep, just hopefully people realize that. Let's go to Pilot.
Let's observe the term racist for a moment, shall we?
Yeah.
It implies that one has a preference for their own group. They discriminate in favor of people that look like them and have the same culture. Well, that means that racist is a synonym for the word loyalty. It's one who's loyal to their own ethnic and cultural group. So it's just a negative term used, applied to people, to specific people, to demonize them for having loyalty to their culture. By the way, I'm a very outspoken racist.
Yeah, no, we definitely picked that up, and we appreciate all perspectives on this show. We would not ban a racist, even though we would be led to believe that you are the evil incarnate. But that's a good point. Anyone is capable of exhibiting loyalty to their culture, as long as you're not white. Then it's white supremacist. Anthony Griffin.
We also have a government that makes it very easy to just stay home and buy drugs, because that's what they're paying people to do.
Hell yeah.
How about that? Yes, sir. That's another great point. As they're trying to do in places like Nova Scotia, Canada, and Alberta, where Holly was talking about, where the mayors want to keep you at home, where they locked us down unnecessarily for the last year. What else are you going to do with your time? I mean, if people have a predisposition to that kind of thing, or they're on the teetering edge of becoming addicted to drugs, do you think locking them in their house for a year and a half straight will lessen the chance that they become addicted to drugs, or increase the chance that they become addicted to drugs? I don't think it requires, you could probably figure that one out with like a 90 IQ point. It doesn't take too much to figure that one out, I would say.
Yeah. You'd think, but there are a lot of really dumb people out there nowadays.
Speaking of dumb people and racism, let's end on a story that is going to just put a smile on everybody's faces. And
yes.
Because nothing's more fun than racism and stupid people combined into one. I think this is a very important topic.
It's like Christmas.
It really is, and I don't know how much more intersectional you could get. Now I have to. Mental illness as well is a big factor in this. We got mental illness angle. We got the racism angle. We've got transracialism angle. So this is a big story, people.
Oh,
a lot of angles on this we could take. Now this is from the UK, of course, because UK is leading in all forms of the degenerate. From hopefully the only time I ever use this website as a source, PerezHilton.com.
Oh hell yeah!
British,
it's legit.
British influencer has surgery to look like a Korean boy band member. Comes out as transracial.
Oh my god!
Now,
wow.
Is anybody really actually shocked by this? That should be a sign. That should be a sign that society has gone maybe a little too far, because the lack of shock is really the most shocking thing about this for me. I saw this, I was like, oh, yep, that sounds about right.
It's just it's the British Korean version of Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now, a British influencer, Ollie London, quote, came out in a YouTube video on Thursday claiming that they were now Korean.
Oh my god.
After having 18 surgeries to look more like a Korean boy band singer, Park Ji-min, the non-binary internet personality.
Oh god, of course it's non-binary.
Oh, I can't even.
This is why people.
This is
why people can't take the whole non-binary label seriously, because of idiots like this guy.
Well, Yeah, no.
And because it just doesn't make sense.
Of
But then people like this ruin it for us.
The seemingly
well, not us, but
100% corollary relationship with mental illness also hurts the credibility a little bit. Now, did you ever think you'd be reading a sentence with the non-binary internet personality? That is the most 2021 way to describe a human being that you could possibly have. The non-binary internet personality in and of itself is a completely worthless, useless term. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't help you understand the reality any better. As a communicatory tool, it is worthless. Internet personality. What is that? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. Anyway, this non-binary internet personality compared their struggle to that of transgender people, saying that they transitioned to be Korean and even changed their name to Jimin. So,
oh my God.
Now, as absurd as this really may seem for some people, I got to say I was kind of a trailblazer on this. Now, I have identified as black in the past, and I still do identify as black. And it's good to see people, fellow transracialists, coming out finally in support, because now I have a community. Up until now, I didn't have a community. You know, there were some people who, like Rachel Dolezal, who she's not really transracial because she doesn't come out and say it. So as far as I'm concerned, she's a transracial bigot because she doesn't openly, support and endorse my lifestyle. But now, finally, hopefully, because this guy is out there, or this non-binary internet thing is out there, my community of transracial can grow and get the publicity that it so deserves.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm just reading more about this. This guy says, I identify with the Korean community. Maybe they will accept me more now because I have the look. I don't think he's actually ever been to Korea because I'm pretty sure Koreans do not understand what the transgender and the non-binary bullcrap that he's talking about.
Well,
that's
there's a couple things to this. The Korean pop star sensation that is really overtaking Korea. That it's huge. It is big. Okay, think of the biggest pop stars in America. They got nothing on these guys. Okay, it's huge. It's a huge thing, and they're all incredibly feminized. They're all basically they look like women. I mean, look at the picture of this.
They do.
This guy in the this is what he's trying to look like. He's trying to look like this guy in the corner. That basically looks like a chick. I mean, he's got like lip fillers and stuff like that. He's probably wearing foundation. They all look like chicks, and so that's one angle to it. The other angle that people don't realize is that Koreans are incredibly racist. Okay.
Yes.
They want to. The Koreans. This is the irony. Koreans want to look like white people. Now this guy is trying to look like a Korean, but if you ask the Koreans, they'd probably be like, well, dude, we're trying to look like you. Why are you trying to look like us? That's not.
Yeah, why are you trying to look like us? And we want to look like you. We want to dye our hair blonde and bleach our skin and have blue eyes, and you're trying to look like us. What's wrong with you?
No, Koreans, they're suffering a cultural malaise right now, where they all want to appear white. They want to dye their hair blonde. They want to get the eye surgery so they don't look Asian. They want to do skin bleaching, as you said. None of what you said is a joke or hyperbole. This is all happening, and you gotta question really what's going on there. It's kind of like, again, a mass cultural kind of mental illness. I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I think this guy's like viewing Korean culture through the lens of K-pop. I don't think he's actually ever been to Korea and seen and like actually talked to Korean people, because if he had, he would realize that what he's doing, they would be like, what are you doing? Like, we are trying to look like you. You are like the creme de la creme when it comes to how we all want to look, and you're over here like mutilating yourself to look like us. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, so this is a quote from him. He said, I just want to make Jimin proud as well. Jimin is my ultimate idol, and I want him to be proud. I'm sure he'll be proud that I look exactly like him now. I have his eyes.
Look exactly like him.
I finally have Jimin's Korean eyes, and they're so
my
beautiful.
God.
I'm so happy with my new look, and I can't wait to see the final results when all the swelling goes down.
You don't look anything like him, honey buns.
Jesus Christ. Can you hear you can just hear the mental illness in this. Where he's like, I want to look like exactly like this guy. But that's a lot of what, the Korean general public is doing to these stars. That's how big these stars are. They're creating a kind of a mass mental illness within their own society, where these people idolize them. they want to look like them, they would obviously they go so far as to cut their face to look like him. Now, if somebody is cutting their face in a country that's 1,000 miles away or several thousand miles away, what do you think is actually happening inside Korean culture? Now, we don't get a good look into that, but I could probably take a guess that it's pretty abominable.
Oh, it's terrible. And like I'm reading Perez Hilton's like, his take on it. And he says, in all honesty, we can't imagine that the pop star would be flattered or proud that someone had surgery to look more like him. Seems like the kind of extreme behavior that someone in the public eye might find upsetting and even scary. Yes. Like, does he really think that Jimin is going to look at this guy and go, oh my God, what a healthy fan that I have? No, this is not healthy fandom. Like, healthy fandom, yes, go to the concerts, get the merchandise, get autographs. That's healthy fandom. Physically altering your body so you can freaking look like the person that you idolize, that is mental illness 101. It's like the same person that, like, I read about this dude that had like hundreds of plastic surgeries to look like a Ken doll, from Barbie and Ken.
Yeah, I've seen that guy.
This is the same kind of thing for me. Like, this is not healthy fandom. This is not like a healthy obsession with somebody or something. This is unhealthy to the point of like, you are mentally ill, and whatever plastic surgeon did your surgery, they deserve to be like, have their license taken away. Cause that's not, this is mental illness, and you are making it worse by feeding into the mental illness by modifying their bodies.
And if Perez Hilton, who is himself a degenerate mutant, is calling you out on your degeneracy, then that's a sign that you're on the cutting edge. But it's only a matter of time before this kind of thing becomes completely normalized. Because despite the fact that this kind of thing is, we're laughing at it, this dude's getting like thousands and thousands of likes and stuff on Twitter, where people are like, "Oh yeah, dude, yeah, we love you, and good job coming out and all that." So. It's just it's kind of like the first time you saw. Remember? Can you remember the first time you saw fat shaming, like get shamed, when somebody first said, "Hey, you shouldn't fat shame people," because that was the line back then. It was like, "Hey, you shouldn't really be fat." But now we've got magazine covers that say, "Fat is good, be fat is cool, totally fine, is healthy." This is just the beginning, and eventually this kind of stuff is going to be on magazine covers, folks. Just keep that in mind. Holly says he's being roasted on TikTok. Just you wait. The first ones always get roasted.
Yeah, well, I mean, this has been going, like I said, I talked about the guy that wanted to look like the Ken doll. Like, this has been going on for, I remember hearing about that story like maybe a decade ago about that guy, and he's probably continuing to do it, and women are doing it to look like Barbie. There's like this great mental illness going on where people just want to not look like themselves and want to just look like the people they worship and idolize. And it's like the mental energy you spend trying to be somebody else can be spent improving yourself and being the best version of yourself, even if it's like not exactly like what you have in your brain of what you want to look like. And I wish people like could get the help they need to get on that right path of just loving and accepting and being the best versions of themselves and trying to be like versions of other people. Because there's only one of you in the world. So why would you want to like disrupt that and not be the one of you and try to be like somebody else?
And you also got to consider where this guy got the idea for that. Where do you think he saw plastic surgery or got the idea that this was even a feasible path forward to get, quote, what he wanted? It's social media. It's social media, people getting plastic surgery on social media, glorifying plastic surgery, glorifying body mutilation, all that kind of stuff, which is, social media, Twitter, Instagram is a cesspool of body mutilation and degeneracy. Now, the other thing, I wasn't going to cover this, but there's another trend going out there of shaving your teeth down to get crowns installed. Have you seen this?
Oh,
this isn't
like vampires.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, no, yes.
I've seen that too.
Let me pull this up real quick just to show you guys how far Instagram and Twitter, social media, TikTok community is going with the body mutilation stuff. Because if you don't hear about it here, you're not going to realize this is going on if you don't use TikTok. And it is insane. Okay. So,
all right, I was gonna say we got quick. We got a $5 super chat from Steve Husted. He said, "R.I.P. to Deontay Wilder. That bloke across the pond going to kill his career." I don't know. I mean, yeah. Thanks, Steve, for the super chat. We love that.
Amazing.
Thank you.
As always, thank you, Steve. Okay, TikTok. That's what it is. Here we go. So, this is I got to give you a warning on this one. This is what you're about to see is pretty nasty. No gore, but it is hard to look at. Okay, so this is what they're doing to their teeth. Deliberately shaving their teeth down to look like monsters. Yes, what you're seeing on screen is real. These are their real teeth that they get shaved down so that they can get crowns installed over them, because the crowns will be like perfect looking forever. So here's 3 pictures of women, all women who look like they have other plastic surgeries as well, showing their post-ops of having their teeth shaved down so that they can get their crowns installed and have perfect teeth forever. That's not really the case, and they're obviously doing permanent damage to their body. But again, this is what social media and TikTok is encouraging, folks. This is where people get these ideas. And I have to let you in on this, because if you didn't know about this, from TikTok directly, you would never know this is going on. But that is what's going on.
It is so bad. That is so bad. I bet you all of those chicks that are doing this had really nice smiles to begin with, and then they just go in and ruin their smiles just for what? To look like a freaking monster. Yep. Like, how are you going to be able to eat with those teeth? Come on now.
Yeah, no, it's a.
And what dentist is signing off on that? Like, what dentist is doing that?
Some dentists will offer that, just openly offer that. Apparently, it's but that is a great question. Who the hell would even, if it's purely cosmetic, if there's no medical reason to do so, why would you even okay something like that? They literally sand your teeth down with a little I forgot what it's called, the little mini routers. They sand your teeth down.
They want to look like the Ferengi from Star Trek. Like, what is this?
But you get my point. We're at the stage now where destroying your body through mutilation is not only acceptable, but it's encouraged. And just remember who runs TikTok. China. Yeah, okay, we got a bunch of stereo comments. We'll go through those, and then we will wrap up the show. Osis.
This is just more proof that we're living in South Park, because this was an episode, Mr. Garrison's Fancy New Vagina, where Kyle gets a negroplasty so that he can play basketball. I want a negroplasty so that I can do whatever I want, and people can't criticize me. That's why I want a negroplasty. I still couldn't play basketball. But, great episode. Aired in 2005. Only took 16 years. It's too bad they're not funny anymore, because I don't think they'd have any good predictions like they did before. But definitely living in South Park.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of South Park. I've seen a couple episodes. It's not my style of comedy, but they kind of get that Simpsons effect where they predict the future a lot of times, Okay, Pilot. It's got 2.
It is crazy, the idea that someone would assert that they're transracial or transgender or whatever. But all this stemmed from, people asserting that they're American but born in, Iran, or, British but born in, but having ethnic roots in Pakistan. I mean, these aren't terms that are based in anything that's realistic. A rat born in an aquarium isn't a fish. It's what I like to call misality. It's hate for the authentic in nature. People who subscribe to cultural Marxism in every sense of the word, they want to obscure all tribes or all nations. They want to corrupt it.
He's got a follow-up here. The Doomer soundtrack. Is that what that is? So for those who aren't aware, a doomer is somebody who sees this kind of stuff happening, and they just, it goes along with. It's doomer is a meme on the internet where it kind of they mix either slowed down music or just really terrible sounding music, and with slideshows or imagery of all these really obvious ways that society is crumbling. So that, for those who aren't aware, that is basically the way that I'm interpreting it anyway. The soundtrack to the doomer reality that we live in, because this kind of stuff is beyond parody. It's beyond what you would see in a dystopian movie. This is really, really quite awful stuff. Paul,
thank you as always for the nightmare fuel. You did warn us, and I did look, and I do regret it. I think I've pimped Steven Pinker before, but this always bears mentioning. The blank slate. Nature versus nurture, sorry.
Yes.
Is basically settled science. 50% are genes, mother, father, combination thereof. It's a random grab bag. 10% is nurture, the schools you put your kid in, the direct things you teach them, the rod, the carrot, all that stuff. And 40% is peer group. So anytime you actually get people talking about these just horrible, just youth culture, it's a pretty legitimate complaint. A child is a very big product of their peer group environment, other children.
Yeah, exactly. And I was shocked when I started to see, I guess YouTube is piping in some TikToks now directly. I don't know if they're TikToks or if they're like YouTube's version of TikTok, but these things get millions and millions of views. Okay, so this stuff spreads like wildfire, instant transmission to all of the youth in the country, where it's like, oh, I want to shave my teeth now. I want to be transracial, or whatever it is. These terrible ideas are conducting at light speed through the culture, and it's not good. It's not good, folks. It's not going to lead us to a good place. Q Jar says he's going to be the first to be trans celestial. Okay, well, there you go. I think you can probably grab it.
Yep, add it to the other 125 genders.
And let's see. Oh, can he be trans midget? Steve Husted asks. I don't know. Probably. Identify as a midget. You know what, man? Give it a shot and let me know how that goes.
Walk around on your knees everywhere you go, and you should be a trans midget.
Re-uploaded TikToks to Shorts. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Holly. Holly is in tune with the technology of the kids these days. Apparently, they're re-uploading TikToks to the Shorts feature on YouTube, which is imitating the TikTok, but these are literally like 10, 20-second videos, clips that are getting shared like wildfire all over the internet. Pretty terrifying. All right, let's go to, we got a new guy here with a question.
Gentlemen on the panel. Can you explain to me what adult centrism is, I guess in layman's terms?
Adult.
I think you're talking about alt-centrism. I'm assuming you looked at my profile,
Yes.
so yes. I don't know what adult centrism is, but it sounds interesting. Alt-centrism, in a nutshell, is the acknowledgement that the current political spectrum does not have any actual utility, and its means to serve as simply a political weapon to divide people. And we're looking for a more accurate way to represent and look at the universe. And it's not a left to right spectrum that we're on. It's a new spectrum that's inner to outer, okay? And the inner to outer is in reference to your relationship with power and where the power is being influenced over your life. So the idea is that you want to emphasize power and put your energy into things that are closer to you in proximity, both physical and mentally, meaning you, yourself, your immediate family, your immediate community, and care less about things that are influencing you from a farther distance, like the government, the federal government, even the local government in some cases is a little too far-fetched in large cities, but that's in a nutshell. I guess there's a lot more to it, but it's a work in progress, let's say that.
Yeah, we're starting a movement, folks.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Now, with that said, Osa says these weirdo kids have no real direction or skills, so going viral is the fastest, easiest way. And that's another aspect to it that people don't really talk about. The incentive on these platforms is to come up with something shocking, so that you get viral. Something shocking, like there was a trend of people dry scooping pre-workout. Pre-workout, for those of you who don't know, is essentially powdered caffeine and other stimulants. People were dry scooping like dozen scoops and going to the hospital, things like that. Really stupid things where, like Darwin Award type things where you do something incredibly stupid and nearly kill yourself for the attention. I would classify...
Kids eating Tide Pods.
Oh, the Tide Pods, sure. I think if TikTok was out during the Tide Pod era, then we'd see a lot more dead kids of Tide Pods. But, this teeth shaving and the body mutilation, the transgender, everything, all that stuff is being spread because we need to get the next hit of something that will actually trigger our dopamine receptors. Because if I just see a normal gay person or a normal protester or normal whatever it is, I don't get any dopamine hits, I don't get any attention, I don't get any likes, I don't get any shares or views. So I need to do something drastic like shave my teeth or cut off my boobs or my testicles to get attention on these platforms now, or call myself Korean.
I've seen body mods now where people will get like implants on their ears to give themselves like goblin looking ears, or they put like dermals underneath their skin on their forehead to make them look like they got devil horns. And then they proceed to get mad when people stare at them or like ask them questions or want to take pictures with them. It's like, well, why'd you do that to your face if you don't want to be looked at? That's a little bit like counterproductive to me to do that to yourself and then wonder why people are staring at you.
Yeah, well, attention and the incentives to get attention are running rampant in our society. That's the lesson there that we have to offer to you, the viewer. If you guys like the show, we do go live here every Saturday and Tuesday and Saturday, 7 p.m. PST. We will be likely moving to a new platform in the near future, potentially locals.com, which is beta testing their live streaming feature. Yes, big news there on the live streaming front as we look for a new place to do our live stream. So
because YouTube don't like us.
No, can't talk about what we want to talk about here on YouTube. If you guys want to follow us and track the new platforms that we move to, as well as get notifications if we go down, the Telegram is the way to do so. The link to the Telegram is in the YouTube description. Feel free to follow us there. And I think that's about it. Anything else you want to mention, Delaney?
No, just happy that Pride Month is ending and they're moving on to July, because like I said earlier in the stream, my birthday month is July. So make sure to send me lots of birthday love, and maybe we'll do a birthday stream one of these upcoming weeks. We'll see.
There you go. Figured out. Okay, let's see. Happy 4th of July, by the way. Independence Day. I will be celebrating, I'm sure, with some kind of fireworks or explosives. The only proper way to do it. Yep. Explosives, American flags.
Drinking and explosives. That's what more? How much more American can you get?
Lots of American flags. Make sure you guys whip out the American flags, fly them high and proud. Oh, this guy's in Houston too.
Yep.
Q Jar's also in Houston. A lot of people in Houston. Yep. I'm also in Houston now.
Don't be afraid to wave the American flags, man. My friends, like, don't be afraid. Don't let them win, you guys. Don't let them force you into submission, into being ashamed that you are proud to be an American.
That's right. Well said. Thank everyone for the chats, all your submissions, and YouTube chat was awesome as usual. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Bye now. Bye-bye.